This is In Character. I'm your host, Gerard Robinson, Vice President for Education at the Advanced Studies in Culture Foundation.
And I am Catherine Bassett, and tonight I am sitting in for the wonderful Gerard Robinson, and I have with me an amazing guest, somebody who was part of our conversation around early childhood, Dan Lieja, and Dan teaches in Texas, and we are honored to have him with us tonight. So Dan, welcome.
It's an honor to be here. It's honor to be part of this.
So Dan, I'm going to start with a really simple question. Who is Dan Lieja? Who are you?
Dan Lieja is a survivor. I've survived a lot, and I've crossed a lot of bridges. In fact, I go by an Oprah Winfrey quote, I am who I am because of the bridges that I've crossed. And I firmly believe in that. I was a non-reader until second grade. I was terrible at math. I didn't understand math, and I flunked high school math, and I just didn't fit in. And I came to a bridge where I thought I needed to make a decision on what I was going to do in life, and I needed to be successful. So I took it upon myself to go to school, and I took the long way around in going to school because my parents couldn't afford it. They were very, very poor. But I finally achieved my goal of being a teacher and holding a master's degree in mathematics and minors in science. And so my goal in life is to make sure that kids don't experience the same things that Dan Lieja did. I want them to have those opportunities. I want them to understand and love and embrace mathematics and science. I want them to do very well in school and to be very productive members in society. And that's my mission in life. There's nothing else. It's my kids. They're my life, and that's basically who I am.
I know more than a little bit about you, and so I could add a lot of other details to that story, but let's ask a couple more questions. So you talked about the bridge that you crossed of being a non-reader and moving on and getting your degree to become a teacher. I know that there are some other bridges that you've crossed. Do you want to talk about one of those or two of those?
Well, there was lots of bridges. Going back, my parents started out life as migrant farm workers in South Texas. They had 13 kids. With the exception of me and my two younger brothers and sisters, they lived most of their lives in the back of a pickup truck, traveling from state to state. And so therefore, we really didn't have a lot of things. And my parents' education was number one to them. I would tell the story of being out in an onion field when I was 8 years old. It was very, very hot. The wind was blowing. The onion juices coming up into your eyes, and I distinctly remember my friends riding by on their bicycles going to the swimming pool, and I was just so upset that I couldn't be at the pool with them. I had to be in these onion fields, but our parents relied on every one of us to make money, and I remember my dad laughing at me. I mean, he just laughed at me, and he said, "Do you like this?" I said, "I hate this. I hate this. I hate I hate everything." And he says, "Well, I'm going to tell you one thing right now." He says, "You had better just do well in school. You better make school number one, or this is where you're going to be for the rest of your life." And those words stuck with me. And so when I left home, I knew they couldn't help me with college. And so what I did was I went ahead and joined the military, the Air Force, so that I could get tuition to go to college. And for the 21 years I was in, I went to college all throughout my whole career. And I ended up with a degree in applied aerospace sciences. I ended up with a degree in nursing, and I ended up with a degree in education. Along with some endorsements along that. So I literally retired on a Friday and was in front of 21 kindergartners the next Monday going, what have I done? But I finally found my passion. It took 21 years to do it, but it was well worth it. And had I not taken the chance and crossed over that bridge, I'd probably still be out in those onion fields right now. And I thank God that I had a father that pushed me because he knew there was only so much he could do. And he lets Uncle Sammy take care of me and get me to that next level. And I've just really enjoyed the benefits of taking those risks and crossing over bridges.
I thank God that he pushed you too, because I know how many students have benefited from your being in the classroom. Not very many men go into early childhood education. There aren't very many male kindergarten teachers or first grade teachers. What led you down that path?
It's interesting. I'm so glad you asked that because as I look at education in the United States, it's almost backwards. We have so many male teachers up at the high school levels and middle school, and I'm one of three male teachers in the elementary school, and it's been that way in the three campuses that I've been at. I see we need more male role models now than at any other time in our history because of the fact that society's changed and we have latchkey kids. We have a lot of gangbangers. We have a lot of kids that don't know they don't know where they're going to be living at when they leave the campus, and they don't have that male role model. And the one thing I've been blessed with is that every campus, those kids that don't have the male role model, the principals asked if they could put them into my classroom so that they have an adult, a male adult, to kind of guide them. Because my second campus that I was at, I had a young gentleman that they brought into my classroom who was mentally abusing the female teacher that he had. And the reason was his dad was a gangbanger, and dad told him it's okay to hit and abuse women because that's the way we do things. So I sat and had a talk with him, and I told him, there's more to life here, and you don't realize that these people that you're bullying or you're trying to abuse, they could be your supervisor one day, or they can be the connection that you need. And so we need to treat everybody as family. Um, Another quote, I live my life on quotes. Eric Jensen tells us that the one thing that children of poverty lack and reach out for the most is a strong, stable, caring adult figure in their life. And most often it's teachers that they reach out to in order to fill that void. And I learned that years back, and so I bring that into my classroom every day. I could tell stories that just I've got millions of them of boys. I had one boy that I had in fifth grade, and the next year he went to middle school, and I happened to be at the campus on a Saturday cleaning the garden. I had a big garden that we took care of there, and I just felt somebody's presence. And it was that young boy. He was now in sixth grade, and he'd gotten kicked out of the house, and he had nowhere to go. So we sat and talked for a long time. I asked him if he had breakfast yet. He hadn't eaten in a couple of days, so I threw him in the truck, and off we went. We had lunch, and I kind of started to get him straightened out, and got him the help that he needed. I called the counselors, I called the principal, and let him know what was going on. But these boys need help. They need a male role model to show them, which way we need to go. They can't. His thing was, I'll just live on the streets, and if we give up on these kids, and they end up there, that's where we're going to have kids going to jail, and that's where we're going to have the delinquents and the problems that we're having. So we need a lot more men at the lower level to provide that, almost like a fatherly, guidance and relationship with these kids.
I know that you've talked a lot about your students over the years. I've heard you talk a lot about your students. If you were talking to one of your students who is now getting ready to make a career decision, what would you say to them to convince them to go into teaching young children?
I would ask them how I helped them. I would ask them, what were some of the lessons that you learned? And, um, you know, would it be something that you would think about to help others, especially in two of the campuses that I was at, they were very gang ridden. And the kids that came out of there, they just, I've been very, very impressed with them. And in fact, I do have a couple that are going to go into teaching. And I just think, I would just press them and ask them, would you consider helping other kids? Rita Pearson, we do her mantra every morning. I am somebody. I was somebody when I came. I'll be a better somebody when I leave. I'm powerful. I'm strong. I deserve this education I get. And the kids remember that stuff. So I would ask them, you're now powerful. You're now strong. Would you give consideration to helping other kids become powerful and strong and believe in themselves and be very, meaningful contributions to life? That's about it.
So you've been in teaching now for how many years?
This will be my 22nd year.
So 22 years in the classroom. What is your greatest takeaway? What is your greatest joy that you get out of going into the classroom every day?
I'm going to go with another story.
That's fine.
I'm very philosophical on things, but I've learned so much. There's a story about a little boy that was on the beach, and he was throwing starfish back into the ocean, and there were just hundreds of starfish. And this man came up to him and he says, "What are you doing?" And he says, I'm saving these starfish. I'm throwing them back into the ocean. And the guy says, "You know what?" He says, "It doesn't matter because you're not going to save them all." And the little boy, he gets down, he picks up another starfish and he throws it in the ocean. He said, "Yeah, but I just saved that one." And I know we come into this profession thinking we're going to save them all,
Right.
but I've learned there's just so many, and so you have to take the ones that you save, and you have to savor those moments. I had a young lady that she was one of my best math students in 5th grade, and she was mercilessly bullied all through middle school and wanted to quit. And I was never so proud as when she came to me her sophomore year in high school, actually her junior year, and said she wanted to become a nurse because she knew I was a nurse and that if I would help her with her SATs. So I got together with her and her mom, and we had study sessions at the library for about 3 months on SATs. I had another kid who I just bumped into her at hospital, and she decided to go into nursing. I have a young lady who's now a high school math teacher that I had way back in 3rd grade. And I remember I pushed her and pushed her and pushed her. And I told her, "You probably hate my guts, but you're going to get through this." And now she's a high school math teacher. And it's like, isn't that incredible? You know, um,
It sounds like
on
it's the difference that you can really make in a life that matters
on the
most.
other hand, I have lost some.
You have lots of them. Yes, you do.
I had a young gentleman that was one of my best math students in 5th grade at my second campus. And I had high hopes for him. And he needed the father figure. His dad was in prison. And I told his mom, "If he needs anything, call me. I'm always here." And I was never so crushed. I totally lost it. About 2 years ago, when one of my parents sent me a news article that he'd been indicted for murder, and I thought I lost that starfish. So you can't, despite your best efforts, you're not going to save them all.
No.
But I guess you got to concentrate on the successes. I guess it was his choice. I felt so bad, blamed myself, asked him what else could I have done. And I had so many parents and teachers tell me there wasn't anything. It was a choice that he made. So it's tough. It's really, really tough when you lose one.
It is tough when you lose one. It is, Dan. As we close out our time together, is there any advice or any thoughts that you would want to share with people listening to this interview about your career, about the choice that you made to enter the classroom, and what's kept you there for 22 years. That's a long time.
Mhm. It's a tough job. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It is a tough job. It takes a special person. It takes a dedicated person. But we need so many dedicated people to come in and change lives, the ones that they can. Um, we've got people going into so many of the career fields that they can make a lot more money, and they do make more money. But if we don't sacrifice and try to make life better for a kid, I'd be very concerned about our future as a nation, because they're the next generation. They're the ones that's going to take care of us. And so we have to make sure that we get it right. So we need dedicated people to go into those classrooms and just kind of, like I said, sacrifice, and know at the end of the day that, I'm saving that starfish for our future.
I love that. Dan, thank you so much for giving us your time tonight. And thank you
Mhm.
so very much for what you do every single day. You've saved a lot of starfish and you've made a tremendous difference. And on behalf of Gerard and the folks at ASCF, I thank you with all my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Have a good night.
Okay, bye-bye.